Well, hello everyone. Greetings again. Welcome to Friday. I'm Kit. Adam is somewhere. I'm not sure how this is going to look in the recording. And then Ghost Dog, Pierre Ricadat.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Yes, we have a special guest with us today, the inventor of Caliban, the wonderful GraphQL library for Scala. And he has humbly offered to help us Calibanify and GraphQLify our application that we started a couple weeks ago, the esteemed meetup clone that we were working on. So we're going to make it beautiful and give the API, open it up to the world through the beautiful, regular, type-safe protocol that is GraphQL. But yeah, Ghost Dog PR, which I guess doesn't stand for pull request.
No, it's just my initials, boringly.
I just realized that. But yeah, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell the good people.
Sure. So, I mean, my name is Pierre. You can just call me Pierre. You can drop the Ghost Dog. And yeah, I've been contributing to some of the Zio ecosystem libraries. Yeah, I created Caliban about 2 years ago. I'm live from South Korea. That's why the time of this symposium is a little unusual. Sorry about our European friends, but it's usually during the night for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope we're going to show you how easy it is to turn a REST API into GraphQL, and with the nice benefits you get by doing that. And I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So let me start by sharing my screen and sort of walking through what we have so far. So let me close these Zoom things. So what you see before you is a very, very, very aesthetically repulsive application, but I added to our meetup clone some more entities. Previously, we sort of walked through and we just created events, the ability to save events, create events, whatnot. But now, while we can still do that, hello, event, we can create new events. We can also create user accounts. So some.account@gmail.com, and it shows up here. And then we can log in as one of these accounts, and we can RSVP to these events. So I'll do this hello event and Zymposium Mars event and this Berlin event. And then we'll see that they all show up in this very ugly sort of admin panel that's just showing the join table that is an RSVP between a particular account and an event. And you can see if you're attending or not and whatnot. Right now, this is still using the Zio app sort of RPC type derivation library that I showed off last time. So we're deriving routes for all of these different protocols. And then on the front end, we derive clients for the different protocols. So whenever I clicked on that little RSVP button, I just simply called this RSVP method, passing in the event ID, and it was authenticated with a particular user ID, and that was used on the backend. We won't necessarily spend too much time looking at that side of the architecture because we want to instead take this, which is now this very closed source thing. It's communicating via sort of a very ugly boo pickle serialization. It's all pickled. It's not very friendly to external consumption, while somewhat convenient for building sort of closed Scala to Scala applications. If we wanted to say, expose our API for our meetup clone to the world, that would basically be impossible currently, or they'd have to learn a very horrific binary protocol that really wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. So I think we're going to see how by using GraphQL, you can get basically all of the niceness of having derived clients and very low overhead and very low boilerplate API descriptions with the added benefit of this very nice, regular, very popular, well-supported format that is GraphQL, with which you can derive clients in all sorts of libraries, and it comes with introspection and all sorts of other fascinating things. And especially when used with Adam's zQuery library, we can make some very fancy queries very fast as well, which I guess currently it does not really support that. Yeah, I would before we dive in, like why did you start with GraphQL in the first place? Like what do you like about GraphQL, Pierre?
Well, what's nice about GraphQL, there are a few things. First, the schema, well, the API is entirely typed. So you have a description of all the endpoints, and you can get, because it's typed, you can get documentation for free. So that's really nice, because with REST, you always have to like generate, like either write it or generate some open API description, and it doesn't support WebSocket. WebSocket is always hard to document. There is no like nice standard for documenting messages, stuff like that. But with GraphQL, you can have everything in one single format, and that's very easy to use. Another thing that's really nice is that the server basically describes with the schema whatever it can expose, whatever it has, and then the client can decide to request what they want, only what they want. So it means if you need, when you load your page and you need to call 5 different endpoints in REST, with GraphQL, you can call all of them at once. You can do one query and say, I want this one, this one, this one. And then if the server can return like 100 fields, the client can say, I only want these 2. So you don't need to make like that's a common problem, that the server has those endpoints that return everything, and either the client needs to get everything and then it can be too big, so then it slows things down, or the client have to ask the server, oh, can you make this endpoint for me that just those 2 fields that I need, I don't need the 100 fields. But with GraphQL, you don't need to do that. Like the server exposes everything it has, and then the client can just request only what they want, and they will receive only what they requested. That's another nice benefit of GraphQL. And yeah, because the schema is typed, you have great interop between languages. Like you can have even your server and your client in different languages, but they have tools. They can easily use each other, whatever the language, even though we're going to use Scala on both sides. And and why did I decide to make a library? So in Scala, there is basically one other library that existed before Caliban. That's named Sangria. That's a pretty good library that was created quite at the early stages of GraphQL. So it has a lot of features. The reason I tried to do something else are several. Maybe the main reason is that with Sangria, and it's not just specific to Sangria, it's something quite normal with all the GraphQL libraries in any language. You have to write quite a lot of boilerplate. So basically, when you create your schema on the server side, you have to describe your fields, describe everything, and it's quite boring. Like I had in a previous company, I had a big REST API that I wanted to turn into GraphQL, and the fact that I had to add to describe all the fields, and I had some very big nested objects, was like really a lot of work that kind of discouraged me. There are some macros in Sangria that help you do that, but they don't support ADTs very well. Like they work in the simple case, but in the complex case that I had, it was not working super great. And then I saw a library in Haskell, which is called Morpheus, that had a different approach for building schemas, and I found it really interesting. And I initially just did a small proof of concept to try to use a similar approach in Scala, and it worked great. So I went all in. And another reason is that Sangria is not really not so much FP friendly. Like it's using futures. There are some parts where you need to throw exceptions to raise errors and so on. So it's not the most FP library. So I also at the same time wanted to have something purely functional. But yeah, you can see it here, like purely functional, minimal boilerplate are the two main things at the beginning. And then the interoperability, it's something that came little by little. Like I started to add support for different HTTP libraries. Now there are like maybe 5 different HTTP libraries that are supported. And then a lot of people actually, not even me, like people who wanted to use Caliban with other stuff added more and more things like ZeoJSON, recently ZeoHTTP that was added by a contributor. So now it's quite easy to use Caliban with a lot of different libraries, regardless of your stack. Even if you use futures, actually, you can use Caliban. It's also supported out of the box.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed, even from very early on, your docs were very good. I feel like that's
you
put a lot of focus on, and was really nice.
Yeah,
yeah,
very helpful.
Yeah. I think that's well, Sangria is also very good docs, so.
I mean, Sangria has been around a lot longer. I think it's a really good best practice example for like other newer libraries. I think you really focus on that in a good way.
Yeah, and also there is an example folder in the GitHub that has a lot of different examples, and that's also pretty useful, I think.
Yeah. I think I mentioned before, I just use your example file. Like whenever when I was getting started and trying to remember how do I start up with HTTP/4S server with Zeo, it's just like, oh yeah, this is probably up to date and probably the way to do it. So
yeah, I often send a link to people who have questions, not even GraphQL, like just about using some of those libraries, and because are nice examples.
Yeah, so we'll probably consult this one because we currently use ZeoHTTP, so this looks pretty nice and pretty simple. Actually, a pretty good example of the benefits you get from hard coding to Zeo instead of HTTP/4S. I was trying to contrast that previously, but yeah, you don't have to like make a blocker and an interpreter and an execution global context and have some implicit runtime. You just get to say like, start my. So that'll be nice to take a look at. Yeah, I used Sangria at my first Scala job, and while cool, it also had a lot of boilerplate. And I think I've also mentioned before how I did not enjoy Scala when I first started, and I think all of those macro issues were a big part of it, in that it did not work nicely with ADTs at all. And you just had to really stick your hand into the macro beehive very early and very often. It was kind of horrible. And then having used Caliban later, I did not have that experience whatsoever. So excited to try it out.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So should we get started with the coding?
Yeah. Let's get our hands dirty.
I'm gonna copy some stuff. It looks, is this the newest version 101? Looks like. Yeah.
So I guess you can take the ZeoHTTP as well, since we know we are gonna need it. So I guess we're gonna focus on the server first, expose the API on the server in the server project first, and then we're gonna do the client later.
There we go. So I added that in there. I will rebuild.
Nice.
Rebuilding, and then so maybe we could just go to this backend file because it's pretty simple. We can just work in here for now. And
maybe just while we are on dependencies, just one thing to check is that what version are we using the same version of ZeoHTTP, because ZeoHTTP is still in RC, so it's not binary compatible.
Yes. I'm on RC 17 currently. That's a good point.
I think it's the same as Caliban.
I
I think it's the latest RC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's the same. No problem.
Okay,
Trying to anticipate weird issues.
Yeah. Objects. I don't know. GraphQL. I'm not sure how you. But I'll set this up for now, and then we'll see what happens. So so
okay.
How do we get started?
So the first thing to do when you want to expose a GraphQL API with Caliban is to create a case class. Actually, you don't even need to use Caliban at that point. A case class that that describes what you want to expose. So it's actually 2 or even 3 case classes because GraphQL separates operations into 3 categories. There is first the queries. So it's everything about getting something, read-only stuff. Then second is mutations, so add, edit, delete, and then subscriptions, which is for receiving updates, usually backed by a WebSocket, but not only. The main difference between, so obviously a subscription have a different protocol, but queries and mutations, the main difference is that queries will be done in parallel if you request multiple fields, while mutations will be done sequentially. So you can have mutations like do this, then do that, then do that, and you can be sure that they will be done sequentially.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there is not much difference between them. I mean, you could theoretically use mutations in your queries or like do an edit in your query. That would work, but yeah, it's mostly about parallelism. That's
interesting. Okay. And can you do mutations in parallel if you really wanted to? Is there a way?
Yeah, yes, I think so. In the backend, this is actually backed by Zio Query. So we once we receive so I can explain maybe the few steps there are when Caliban receives a request. First, it parses it. So we parse the GraphQL request format into some ADT. So first parsing. The second step is validation. So we verify that the request, the query is valid, that it's asking for fields that exist, and so on. There are quite a lot of validation rules in the spec. And the third step is execution. And to execute it, we build actually a tree of zQuery. And zQuery supports optimization, right? So it can be done in parallel, it can be done sequentially, it can be done in the mixed batch mode where some stuff is in parallel and some stuff is sequential. And so there is a default that is, I think, everything in parallel for queries, everything is sequential for mutations, but there is a parameter that you can pass, that is optional, where you can change the parallelism of zQuery.
Okay.
It's especially useful if you use zQuery in your own business logic, because I think the default is optimized if you use just Zio, and then it will create a zQuery from the Zio. Mm-hmm. But if you use only zQuery everywhere, there is a setting that's slightly more optimized because it doesn't need to run arbitrary Zio effect, so it's slightly faster. But that's a bit advanced anyway.
Focus on that.
You don't really need to know that until you're quite deep into Caliban.
So I think we should probably start with defining some queries then.
Yes. So basically, you create a case class named queries, and then the fields of the case class are kind of the same as your endpoints. So you give, let's say you had an endpoint named getStuff. So then you make a field called getStuff, and you return the type of your basically what your endpoint was calling. So if your endpoint was calling a function, get events that was returning a UIO of list of event, that's just what you return here. So yeah, okay. And then I guess maybe, can you show maybe the endpoints that you had? Is it defined in this file?
So I think, so there's this event, let me make everyone follow me. Come with me, and then we'll go to the event protocol live. I guess I could have just gone to the protocol, but really what so there's really just getting all the events, and then there's this screen which we can maybe take a look at later. Creating accounts. I think for this, maybe it would be focused, a good starting point is just like list all the events so we can show them on the home page. Maybe it would be nice, if obviously events have RSVPs on them, if we can maybe get their RSVPs with them, and that would sort of show off the power of GraphQL instead of having to make a separate request to get the, maybe we should actually make like a slightly separate data structure rather than this one, which is currently doesn't have sort of nesting at all because it isn't sort of written in that REST style where you're going to make multiple requests to get all the information you need. So perhaps we should reinvestigate that. But basically, I think if we go back to this page, I think like.
And I just copied the API over here just so we can.
Oh, nice. Okay. So yeah,
No.
getting events, eventually creating events, and yeah, because this is GraphQL, we could possibly
We do like description.
All RSVPs or all users or something, but simply use the nesting and a sort of ability to drill down that GraphQL provides. But I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe let's start with creating all the queries and the mutations that are in the list, okay, as they are, and then later we'll do subscription. And if we have more time at the end, maybe we can do what you suggested, to add the RSVPs in the event, something like that. So I guess this one should be a mutation, the create event.
Yeah, exactly. And so we create another case class for that?
Yeah, case class mutations. And there's something that is slightly different if you need an argument.
Yeah.
Right.
So would that just be a function?
So yeah, it's just a function from whatever is the argument.
Event to a task of events. And
yeah, about the argument. Yeah, about the type of the argument. So what was the original type? Was it this new event?
Yeah, it was this new event, which I think.
Okay. Oh, I actually forget that I can see the code myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's cool with this thing. So then I guess we got this other one.
Okay, so about new event, you have two choices. Like when you create an argument, if you pass the case class new event, then the GraphQL argument will be a title string and a description string. So it's gonna take the fields that are inside new event. If instead of having two different arguments in GraphQL, you want just one argument that is new, that is event, and that contains itself those two fields, then you have to make a parent case class, like a wrapper case class for new event that contains one field event of type new event. So it's up to you. Like basically, it's gonna take the fields that are inside the class that you pass here.
I think I've seen. I can remember now. Would this be like a create event args, and then here,
for example, yeah,
like this kind of pattern, new events.
Yeah. So if you do that, then you have one argument in GraphQL, which is an object. While if you pass new event as an argument, then you will have two GraphQL arguments, which are the two strings. So it's really up to you. I mean, there is no better way. It's really. I think when there are not many fields, I think it's okay to just use like in this case, new event, because there are only two fields. So it's quite nice. But if the object is pretty big, sometimes you just want to pass the whole object instead of having a lot of different fields.
Okay.
All right. So,
and I don't think CreateRSvp does have its own arg. Well, I guess we could make them, right? So I'll make create RSVP args, and I think this just takes itself an RSVP because it's such a simple data structure. Okay, and we can have it, return anything. Okay, cool. So now we have our sort of queries and mutations, sort of.
So then so that's the description of what we're going to expose, and then so that's a schema. The next step is to create a resolver. So this is to define for each field in this case classes, what are we going to call, what function are we going to call. So a resolver is just a value of your queries case class type, and then that's your query resolver. And then you have a mutation resolver, which is just a value of the mutation type.
So like a resolver for all events would just be basically a method that returns a UIO of list events?
Well, yeah, but
implement a resolver.
You can just create, so you just create, let me, actually, can I do it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please. Yeah. That's the advantage of follow us.
Oh, my cursor moved. Maybe I should not follow you anymore. Okay.
You can drag around that way.
All right. So let's say query resolver is just an instance of queries, and then all events I need to.
Oh, I see.
I need to give a value for each of these, right? So that's where you can do it, I guess, because you know where it is in your in the code. But that's the idea. That the resolver is just a simple value where each field is going to call the actual function, the actual business logic that returns the expected type.
So currently, I have an event repository which has inside of it it's using the environment. Is there a way to sort of have the environment? What should I?
Sure. So then you can just simply change your UIO to your IO or RIO, whichever. I don't know if it can fail or not.
Actual dependencies in here.
Yeah. So that's one advantage that like Caliban is using Zio internally, so it has great support for the environment.
Yeah. Is it possible to have that be sort of generic and then determined by what you provide, or not currently?
Not here.
I think you're right.
Oh well, you could. Oh, you could, but like, yeah, why not? If you wanted, you could.
Well, I'll start
the mutations on the environment. It's kind of interesting, but
let's see. So I will add an accessible macro, and now I just have to do, I think, event repository dot.
Yeah, do you need to use? Oh, you already have accessors.
I just added one. Let's see if it works. All events, list event seems to work, except this one's throwable. So I'll just say, give it a nice or die.
Oh, so actually an interesting thing about or die, about the failure or no failures. So in GraphQL, a field can be optional or not. Basically can be nullable or not. If the field is optional and it fails, the field is only going to return null, but the other fields may continue, may be executed.
Oh, interesting.
However, if the field is not optional and it fails, the whole query is failing, and then the rest will not be executed. The way this is modeled in Caliban, it's simply using zio.fail and zio.die. So if your field can fail, then it's optional. If your field cannot fail, then it's non-optional. So so depending on what you want, when you request multiple fields, if you wanna be able to continue if a field fails, or if you wanna stop the query, then you use fail or you use die. So here, if you use die, basically an error will fail the whole query.
I see. But the trade-off would be that on the clients, it would be optional if I allowed it to fail. So I guess you have to think about.
So if you remove the or die and you make it a RIO, then the field is optional. So if you request all events and all accounts, and all events fail, you can still get all accounts if it's optional.
Okay. All right, let's try that. Let's see what happens. So do I have all accounts?
Okay.
This would be the account. All accounts, and I don't think I added the macro for this yet, so I'm just going to jump over here and add access.
Yeah, I think we need create events too.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can call Zio service with directly.
Oh yeah,
it's more beautiful if you make the access.
We can't run our beauty.
And then RSVPs, I believe, also lives on as event.
All right, this is going to be account repository.
Oh, I don't think I have an RSVPs, but I can easily make one by jumping to this and saying all RSVPs and making this task of a list of RSVPs, and then jumping into this implementation. Oh, it's a test version. Well, I'll just have that return a fake. Oops. Oh, it's the undo. We all have the same undo buffer. So
yeah, exactly.
Use undo. I'll just do things right the first time. So there, and then also in the actual implementation of this, or in the let me see. Where's the live version of this? There we go. No. Event repository log. Here we go. I also need to implement it here using the actual implementation, which is quite straightforward. I would just going to copy this version and just not filter it by any account ID and just get basically all the RSVPs. So that's done, and I will return to backend. Okay, let's see where we are. Is it happy now? Ah, good. All the queries are happy.
Yeah, I think we're missing, looks like create event and create account.
Yeah, what do we have? Do I have create events? Is it called that? It's called, oh, it's called save. It's just
save. Okay.
It actually takes an event.
Oh, how do I turn a new event into? Is it just like dot event or something? It's just a new type.
Let me see. So where am I calling this? I can figure that out. Just dot new events. Yeah, we basically have to make an event then, which is like just this. It's just an event. Because it has a UUID, so it'll just be a UUID.random, and then I need to import Java util random UUID, and then out of this we can get args.newEvent.title and args.newEvent.description. And probably would like use pattern matching here, but that works for now.
Okay.
And with an account, just need to create a UUID.random UUID, and then what else do I have?
There's also a time instant in event.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you.
Is that the current time, or it's the time the event takes place?
It's on the payload. So new event.
Okay.
Is it time? Is it not on the payload? Let me see. New events. Oh yeah, I guess I wasn't sending that over. So I mean, I'm just gonna have it be now, I guess. Yeah, because I didn't have it on the front end form for now. We can, yeah. So that would make sense. Instant.now will work.
Okay.
Not ideal forever, but it works. Okay, now everything should compile. Huzzah! So we have
all right.
We have mutations.
Yay! You notice how we haven't used Caliban so far.
I know, it's been super easy so far.
So now, yeah. Go on.
I was going to ask, why do you even write that library? What's
So now, let's use Caliban. So we'll turn. So first, we'll turn these two resolvers into a kind of root resolvers. So I'm a little maniac, so I'm just gonna reorder things.
Yeah.
It looks nicer. And so let's just call resolver. And there is a class called root resolver in Caliban that can take, it's Caliban.root_resolver. And it takes, it must have a query resolver because you must have at least one query. And then mutation resolver and subscription resolver are optional. Here we have mutation. Okay, so that's our root resolver. It's a bit inconsistent, so I'm gonna rename it. Okay. All right, and then, should I continue? Let's create our API, and we can call the magic GraphQL function and pass it our resolver. Okay.
With that.
It's not gonna, okay.
Yeah, it looks like top of the page. Yeah, so I've imported Caliban.GraphQL and Caliban root resolver.
Yeah, and this this GraphQL function, it's going to trigger the schema derivation. So it's gonna try to derive a schema from our case classes here. If you try to compile right now, it's gonna fail. So actually, can you compile and show the error?
Oh yeah, totally.
Because and I will explain why.
Implicit.
So are we gonna? Yeah.
It's compiling and it blew up. Yes. So, well, they may
actually. I didn't expect that error.
Oh, we got our own error.
Ambiguous reference to both save in of event and save. Oh, I think this may be my own. Oh yeah, because I already made a that I did not require. So I did not.
You scared me for a while.
I know. We threw a little bomb in there for you.
Same.
I think we got a second one of those.
Yeah, should use the macros. be consistent. Okay, now it should fail for good reasons.
All right. Okay. So it says basically that you cannot find a schema for queries, and gives you some potential explanation and a link to the documentation. So actually, can you click on the documentation link?
I like.
And the reason is so Caliban can derive schemas for all Scala basic types. So, oh yeah, actually, I should watch the Zoom. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it shows you here like all the types that are supported. There, by the way, instant is supported, which is great for us because we're using it now. And if you click on effects on the left sidebar, you will see that when you use Zio effects, when you use Zio environment, there is a little extra to do because basically a schema has two type parameters. There is the R, which is the R of Zio, the environment, and then there is the type A, which is the type we want a schema for. And when we derive a schema, for a given A, but we need to fix the R environment in advance. So we need to tell for which R do you want to derive a schema for A. So you see, yeah, the little snippet that you just copied, we need to add that. And my env needs to be the environment containing everything that we need. So it has all our dependencies.
So it should be that.
Yeah.
Let's import this and then rebuild, and we'll see what happens.
That's a neat way of doing that. Oh, hello.
Does it compile?
Ah, that's my own.
More bombs we dropped.
Oh.
Please or die. RSVP stream. Because I made this not blow up. What did I do here? Oh, did I do this multiple times? Oh, I had multiple. I had to find what I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just been. I changed this repo too much in the last 24 hours. Window. Okay, I think it's gonna.
Yeah, we got some stuff going.
There we go.
Oh, look at that.
Yay. So another reason it could fail to compile is if we used a type that Caliban doesn't know how to derive, right? So for example, if it's a Caliban can derive all the types that you saw in the docs plus arbitrary case classes and seal traits that are made of supported types. But if you use something that's not in there because maybe it's a class, not a trait that's not sealed, or your own thing, or a Java class that's not in the supported list, then you need to simply write an instance of schema for that type. That's all you need to add the support to it. And for writing that, you can look at how Caliban implement the schema for all the basic types. That's a good help if you need to write your own schema. But here we are lucky, we don't actually need to do that because UUID and instant are supported already. Those are the only, I guess, non-trivial types that we have here.
Yeah.
Everything else is string.
Yeah, usually if you do, it's pretty easy because you can just contra map to kind of change whatever type you have into one of the supported types.
Yes.
It's pretty basic types, but no string. Instant is the most complicated.
Yeah.
It's supported.
Yeah.
Great.
So now we have an API. So the first thing you can do is actually print API.render. And that will show you your schema in the GraphQL format for schema. So if you can run that, you can actually visualize what schema was derived from your case classes.
Take a look. Object repository. That's a lie. That's a lie, IntelliJ. Let me try this again. Sometimes it's a little hung up. I think it's going to work. There we go. Yeah. So look.
Okay. So yeah, you might not be familiar with this format, but that's the GraphQL format for describing schemas.
Yeah.
So depending on what you use on the client side, there are some clients that would need something like that. So yeah, it shows all the types that were created. Yeah, new account input, new event input, RSVP.
Mutations, I see. And this is why, as you were explaining, it's good to look at this thing. That's for mutations, create events, it took that in args and basically spread all of its arguments into this is kind of like a method definition. So if we wanted to keep new event input as its own object, we nested it inside of that args.
Yeah, if you didn't nest it, then you would have several arguments here.
Yeah, just like this became the argument. Okay, that makes sense. It's good to contrast them. All right.
I guess we are ready to expose our API by HTTP.
All right, let's do it. So I have the interop, I think, imported. So would I just go down to my...
So you can go back to your Zio HTTP server.
Yeah, maybe I'll say val GraphQL routes. And then I can, what is it? ZHTTP adapter dot.
Yes. Make HTTP service.
Make HTTP.
But for that, you need something called interpreter. And you get it by calling API.interpreter, but that's an effect. So you need to actually run the effect to get the interpreter back. Because why is it an effect? Because it might fail because we do additional validations. There are some validations that cannot be done at compile time. So we do that. We do them when we create the interpreter, so that you still know very early on that there's a problem with your schema. You don't need to. We tell you when you create the interpreter. We don't tell you when you run the query, which is a bit better. And then it's also going to do some performance optimization. It's going to build some kind of runtime data structure that's optimized for running queries. Okay, and otherwise that's all you need to create the HTTP app for. Why is it complaining?
Oh, it actually. Oh, I see. Because this is not itself an effect. Just that was an effect, so I can just do this.
Oh yeah, right.
And so now I think though I'll need to. I think there is an HTTP method to do from effect and sort of wrap this inside of that, because I wanted to just plus it onto the end of the other routes, or maybe add it to the front.
Don't you need to flatten it?
No? I think from effect handles that part, I believe.
Okay.
Though it looks like something has changed, so I'll see what type this is. This is an HTTP app. Oh, there's new error type. There's the Caliban validation error. So I think I might need to handle that, or I can potentially just call or die here. Let me consult what I would do normally if you weren't on the line, which is look at I think there's that example here, which looked very simple. So yeah, you had a for comprehension, you got the interpreter, and then you just made it. It seemed to work. So I think I might just need to change like my error type somewhere. Is there okay, forever.execute? So yeah, let me just build this and see why it's sad. Maybe it might be wrong too. It might be IntelliJ being confused. I think the problem is in the error types. Let me just say dot or die here.
Yeah, I mean it should be valid anyway, for the sake of this.
I mean, this is a silly error that doesn't make sense because IntelliJ is slow to catch up. But then I think we're good. No. Okay, what is this? What have I done here? Maybe I can actually start with just the GraphQL routes and ignore everything else, just so things real simple.
But still, you're making a HTTP of HTTP app. Is that the expected type? I think you need to flatten. No,
you probably do need to flatten it. Yeah. Okay, I see. That's what you meant. Yeah. Totally. Okay, now it works. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good call. Sorry, I misunderstood. All right, and I probably don't even need to or die anymore. But if it's working, it's working, and that's amazing. Cool. Yeah, it's compiling.
Hey.
Shall I start?
So run the server.
It's amazing how fast we will do this.
It was not that hard so far. And then when the server is running, so let's open a GraphQL client tool. So yeah, I recommended earlier a tool called Altair. There are some other tools that support GraphQL, like Insomnia. I think Postman does too now. But Altair is really only for GraphQL, and it has nicer features. Is it just these are just warnings?
Oh, these are just the Quill info logs.
Oh yeah, right.
And info logs as well. but yeah, this is all done. Compiling, it's running.
So you need to pass the URL of your API. I guess it is just 8088 and there is no subpath, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Should I put that on a subgraph? Yeah, let me see what's. Let me check the example real quick. Maybe I should put it behind like GraphQL.
I usually do, like under API or GraphQL subpath.
Okay, so I could say http.routes. That's nice. So let me do this. http.routes. And then I can just do case explore root slash, you said API slash GraphQL?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. I like it. GraphQL. All right, there we go. So that will recompile in the background as long as that works. And then let me just check my port again. That is 8088. So this API slash GraphQL thing should work.
Yeah.
Probably reload it. See if I can get the docs.
Yay!
Oh, look at that.
I cannot, unfortunately, make
So the way it works is that in addition to the API for the client, Caliban is also exposing an introspection schema, which is kind of hidden schema in addition to yours. And that introspection schema returns the list of queries and mutations that are supported and some type information about all your types. So you can navigate in this tool. You can see like what's an event, what's an instant. Well, instant is just a scalar type. Another thing we didn't do is you can, there is an annotation in Caliban. And if you use the annotation, you can add description to your case classes or to your field. It's called GQL description, GQL uppercase. And if you add those annotations, then you see that text in the documentation as well. And also when you call render, by the way, you also get the.
Oh, I probably have to do this in the actual definition of the query. There we go.
Oh yeah, right.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, so you can do it on types and on fields, both.
Probably needs to refresh in the background. Let me just make sure it filed successfully. Oh, I blew something up. Oh, it didn't like this. It just never liked what I did here. Expected type was a partial function. I think I just need to, let me check the example, maybe annotate that. Oh, it can't be a partial function, is that right? Underscore route.
No, it can be.
What have I done to myself here? Expected type was partial function of question mark to, I think, request. I might need to say request on it. We'll see. Where's my route method? There we go, right here. That might help it. It helped it. Okay, all good now. I will refresh the docs. There we go, refreshing. And now I'll get all my.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's sophisticated documentation you have there.
So
yeah, so you just need to. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool too. So.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
I got my
like data's already data's all there. That's really cool. That's
and
awesome.
you can see like if you, for example, you can call all events and all accounts at the same time, or you can remove fields, and you will see that the response matches exactly what you requested.
Exactly. If I just want that, or if I just want, I could steal this and put it in there as well.
Yeah.
Just get all our emails. And then post. So yeah, there's all events, and it's nested nicely, all events, and then all accounts.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And
so that, what's really great, like you can see the power like of GraphQL. Like you, let's say you work in the server team, you make your API, and then you can tell the client guys, hey, it's ready. Just use this URL, and then they just point to the GraphQL endpoint, and they can see all the documentation. They can already use the API without any effort made by you for making documentation and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they already know how to use the API, basically.
And there are tools for doing, when I used it, and we had a TypeScript front end, there was a tool for just generating a TypeScript interface that you could just call. That was all type safe as well, and not quite Scala, but pretty great, very low effort code gen of an entire client library. So it kind of felt like they were connected. GraphQL helped a lot with that. If you aren't blessed to work fully in Scala world, where you have users, this is definitely pretty amazing to have. But speaking of clients,
how about we just add the mutation before we jump to the client?
That's a great idea.
We should be able to do this very quickly now.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we even knock out the subscriptions really fast.
Yes. So so I got to figure out how to create one of these things. So this is new event.
Oh, it's kind of like a JSON format. So open. Yeah, it looks a bit like JSON.
Maybe I could just add this ag fragment. Oh no, not quite. So I would say something like, can I have like a let or a variable or something? Ooh, what's this?
No, you can do that. It does not exist. Like if you want a variable, yeah. So you can name with I think it's a $sign and the name of the variable.
Okay, $sign my event.
Not here in in new event.
Oh, I see. Or was it even possible to just add it like?
Yeah, just do it in line. I mean, just yeah.
Oh, I see.
Like this title.
Oh, and then colon, maybe.
Yeah, it's
whole event. I probably did that already. Dog Zymposium, and then description. Nice dog. Okay, so I'm just working with free association. Found both anonymous and named operations.
Yeah, so because you can't execute a query and a mutation at the same time, you have to pick one.
Check that your server. I may have confused my server with this. Let me see. Oh, hey. All right. It seems to have worked. So let me cancel this and run this again, and I see a nice dog.
Yay.
If I were to open up in my front end, it's probably if I open up this admin panel and reload, it's probably going to be here. Yeah, nice dog. There it is. It's really tiny, but it's here, I promise. Amazing. Cool. Now I can log into somebody as myself and attend the dog symposium. Amazing.
So let's create our case class for subscriptions. Someone already did it.
The advantage of parallel processing. I figured I would get a head start on that while we were
fast.
Going here.
Yeah, so it's exactly the same principle, except your fields must be ZStream.
Amazing.
Yeah, if your fields are not ZStreams, it will fail to generate a schema.
Okay, I'll copy paste this right above here.
Yep, nice. Thank you. Okay, and so this should just be.
I think you can get all these three. There we go. And then save, and then we can fill these in. So yeah, this is going to be event repository. IntelliJ is struggling slightly.
I know, I'm losing my autocomplete. Oh, there it is. All RSVPs. Oh, RSVP stream. Oh, no. Oh, I think I got Undude on.
Undude. It's all is there an RSVP stream?
It looked like there was from autocomplete, like immediately before I got undone.
Yeah, there's all events.
Repository dot all account stream. Okay, I think like that, right?
All RSVPs. Yes, I'm just going to rename that guy so it's consistent.
I added it to the root resolver.
Oh, look at this. The triple pair programming. Yeah.
We could start a startup in no time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, well, and if live reloading worked, it should have already compiled, maybe, if we didn't blow anything up. It seems to have.
Yeah. Maybe we can go, if we go back to
the Altair,
Altair, is there a subscription now?
There are.
Yay.
Yeah, look at that. Look how fast that was. That's amazing.
All right, maybe let me make a
maybe new... yeah, open a new one. It's slightly different for a subscription. And, oh, there is an extra step that you need to do in because, as I said, the protocol for subscription is different. So you need another Zio HTTP handler for that. So if you go back to my example, Zio HTTP project,
over WebSocket.
Yeah, you need. Yeah. So you see here, there is we created make HTTP. We used make HTTP service before. That's for the regular queries and subscription format, but you need make WebSocket service for the subscription.
Amazing. Oh, and I see. And I could probably.
Yeah, you should pass the same interpreter. Technically, you could make another one, but performance-wise, it's not great.
Yeah.
To just reuse the same.
Exactly. I think I just need to invert what I've done here and do routes on the inside, such that I can use the same interpreter. Kind of did it in a weird way. We'll see. This is going to get slightly uglier before it gets not ugly. Is it happy now? Okay, good. It's happy. So I make the interpreter from effect, flatten, do that. Mwah, perfect. Okay.
So this takes care of the WebSocket protocol for you. And to make it work, so in Altair, so on the code side, it's done. That's all you needed.
Let me just double check. It is okay.
If it compiles, yeah. So in Altair, I think on the left sidebar, there is a menu which is like, oh yeah, here, subscription URL. You need to pass the URL for subscription, which is WS for WebSocket protocol. And then slash, okay, you know everything already.
He knows.
I don't
he knows the
even need to
WebSockets.
say.
We've done a lot of WebSockets.
And then we can try adding all event stream and then just running this potentially.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, first of all, we got all the, because I have it such that it gets all the existing ones. So we already have this.
Okay,
and now
then
if I go into let me make a new browser tab. And I mean, I could do it from the GraphQL mutation as well, but if I go to the admin panel and make a new event, let me reload this, admin, new events, subscription, Symposium. Okay. And I saw something show up. And
wow, that's really
amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is really cool because a bunch of these symposiums, we've kind of done different things to kind of build, like, oh, we have the streams and we incent them with the WebSockets and we use these like hubs and subscription refs and all this stuff, which is great. But like this just kind of takes care of all of it for us. It's really cool.
Yeah, you didn't have to specify anything regarding the protocol, the encoding of the messages, and you also have documentation for your WebSocket for protocol.
Oh, and I even get a little notification.
Oh, like that! New events come through.
Wow, got all these nonsense.
Wow, I didn't even know he was doing that.
Wow, okay, yeah. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah, like 80 lines of code, we were able to get a lot of stuff, documentation, WebSockets, any client we want in any language, basically. And obviously, you need to implement the actual logic, but yeah, you kind of get to separate that out just by using the environment parameter and then just really pass in that layer at the end of the world. I didn't even really have to change it because it was already there. That is very cool. Wow. Okay, so what should we do next?
I know, it's like we normally have an hour and a half for our symposiums, but we didn't need all that time. We just knocked it out.
Yeah, I mean, on the server, there are quite a lot of advanced features, and like there are wrappers, like you can have like middleware to get some logs about slow queries, add timeouts. Like there are a lot of things we could do, but maybe there is also query optimization with zQuery. But maybe let's do the client. Then it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be even less code to write. I think it's even simpler on the client.
Not sure we can write code and have it be less than that.
Is there a build change to make here?
So yeah, you need to add. So you need to add Caliban. So there is a special page for client. Yeah, here. So you need to add Caliban Client.
I think you made one for Laminar as well, right?
And don't forget the %.
Oh yes, because you can also have a client in normal Scala land that could just hit a microservice or something. Or...
Doesn't have to be Scala.js.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is Caliban Client -Laminext, which is a nice plugin if you use Laminar. It basically gives you some. So the normal Caliban client, you build your query and then you get an HTTP request object. But with the Laminext module, instead you get an event stream that you can directly bind to stuff. And also the HTTP one only supports queries and mutations, but the Laminext one also supports WebSocket. So it's more powerful. It's actually more powerful.
Okay, so let me go to front end
and there is one more thing. So the first step for using Caliban on the client side. Oh, what is this?
Oh,
conflict between.
Oh, because I am using a version of Laminext. So potentially, could they be conflicting?
Yeah, I think it's 0.13.6.6.
Laminext version 0.13. Oh, that's what I have. Okay, maybe not.
The error was about Cersei. Do you use Cersei?
I don't have Cersei. Do I need Cersei?
Caliban Client is using it, but I don't know why it's complaining. Checksum, what?
You have something in your cache. You need to like refresh your cache. Another version from something else.
I'm not sure. We'll try to compile it in normal SVP instead of that weird browser thing. But yeah, every time I refresh this page, it basically restarts SVT. But I will try to just do it here.
So, but while we are doing SVT, there is one more thing we need to add. So the first step to use Caliban on the client side is to it's actually to run an SVT plugin that generates code. So we need to add an SVT plugin reference, which is here, the next step, add SVT plugin. You need to add that to your plugins.svt. And you need to enable the plugin in your SVT project.
Okay, and
I think it's just called CodeGen plugin. Yeah.
Nice. I think that should just work, right? I don't think I need to import that. I'll rebuild here and I will reload. What's this now? Software milk JSON common.
Do you have a? Oh, maybe I have
SVP as well. Oh wait, it's working now. What?
Refresh or do a clean or something. Yeah.
Maybe did you use HTTP? Do you have? Oh, so maybe it's the HTTP version that's not matching. Let me check the HTTP version of Caliban.
It's compiling now, so I don't know what was set, but maybe later. I don't know. Sometimes. Okay, but I have the CodeGen plugin. Do I have to run a command in SVT?
Oh yeah, the HTTP version was the same. So first, you need to create a file where the code will be generated. You need to create it in advance.
Oh, it's because every time I restart my server, I think it's connecting and then getting those.
Oh, I see.
The first event, because it's an all event stream, not just new event stream. So it first pre-populates the stream with all the current events. So
go to your front end project and I don't know, make maybe a subfolder API or GraphQL or something like that.
We'll do GraphQL, okay.
And then create a file like an object, maybe API or client.
Oh, sorry, class. Come on, Scala class. Where are you? I like that client. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Now we can run the SVT command. So maybe from the docs you can copy the.
Okay, this thing.
So so there are several parameters. The first parameter is a path to the GraphQL definition. So it can be like in the example here, it's a file, but in our case, let's just point to your server because it can also do it by introspection. It will directly introspect your live server to get the GraphQL format. So instead here, just use HTTP localhost 8088 and /API/GraphQL. Okay, so from that it's gonna introspect your server, and then it should be the path to the file that you created.
Copy path. Thank you. And from the content root, right, or from the
actually not 100% sure. Anyway, if it's wrong, it's gonna tell you. So let's try one, and if it's not that, then it's going to be the other one. The last parameter, you can keep it. That's so it's generating some code, and when you have this gen view true added, it's generating some extra case classes that contain all the fields. So if you want only some of the fields, you have to make your own case classes, or otherwise you use tuples. But if you want all fields, this generates extra case classes with all fields for extra convenience.
Okay, oh, that sounds nice. I will do it. It even used my, I think, Scala format.
So yeah, it worked. It was the right path. So it generates a bunch of code. You don't even actually need to check that code. I mean, if you're curious, you can, but you don't actually need to look at it. Now, let's go back to your front-end code and let's create a function that's gonna query. I mean, let's create some queries. So actually, I can show you. Let me go back to IntelliJ. Follow you. Okay, right. So how does it work? Type yes. So let's say we want to create a query. Let's say all events. Oh no, is there a query that returns all events?
Yep.
I forgot.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't even need to look at the generated code. I just start to type queries, which is the root object. Oops.
I'll pull that in.
Okay. I import that. So there is a queries object that was created in the generated code. And then I do dot. It's showing me what fields are available in that queries type. So let's say
everyone else wasn't saying that just because of the way this works. But yeah, that's really cool. You get the autocomplete for that.
Oops.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, and there's the selection.
Yeah. And then it's telling me it needs a selection builder of event.
Mm-hmm.
So then I type event. I need to import it again.
And make sure you do the right one, because there are, would it be like queries.events? I'll look at
I think it's client.events.
Okay. Client.
Is it not there?
Let me take a look in here. So all of
client singular.event.
Client.events.
Actually, I can do it. Why do I?
Oh, then I need to import clients. Oops.
Oh, maybe for a simple thing, we can just import underscore, and it should be.
There we go. Easier. I see. So yeah, I see view, and is view everything? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah. So now event dot, I can select. So I can do, like, for example, ID and then title, like that.
Well, build a syntax.
Then it's gonna return a tuple of. So what's the type of ID? It's probably so it's going to be string, I guess. Or if you want all of them, because we use that gen view parameter, we can use just view, and it's going to return all the fields inside the view case class that was
and map it into a case class with the structure. So it's kind of like our event as a case class. Yeah. Otherwise, and you can see I come in, clicked into the syntax, and it basically shows what you'd otherwise have to do manually, which is tilde it together everything and then map over it and turn it into a case class. But I guess if you don't need everything, you can just deal with the tuples and turn it into some other data structure. But that's definitely very convenient. And
One thing to know: if you combine tuples, if you combine more than two fields, you get nested tuples. But then there is a map n that can flatten it into a case class.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did the 22, 22 helpers.
That was funny one. I don't know what we're gonna do in Scala 3, where now you can have that extra large. We have to just pick it twice stop.
Yeah. So Okay, so maybe, I don't know, let's try to replace one of your existing API calls by a GraphQL one.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So this one would get us all the events. Yeah. Let me think. So on the admin screen.
So I'm gonna do one more thing here, which is, so I'm gonna import Caliban.client.laminext underscore. And then when you do this, it adds an extension method here, which is So by default, if you, there's a to request that returns an HTTP request, but with the Laminext extension, there is 2 event stream.
Okay.
And it takes a URI. So basically, you need to pass your server URI here.
Okay, cool. So we could try to sort of, I could do something like, what's the best way of doing this? I think I could just bind directly, if we just wanted the hacky version to start with, I could say, obviously, that makes sense. So all events dot map, that's an either, of course, of Caliban error. So I can just grab this, and I'll say, error value, or in here, what is it? It's a list probably. A list. Oh, it's an option. Oh, because we allowed for the error. So I'll say instead of here, this will be the events, and then on the last case, I'll say oops, and just print the oops.
Yeah, we made them all RIO, so it means we get an option because they can fail. If we don't want these options, we can just use URIO on the server.
That makes sense. And then yeah, I'll just have a div of the events dot title, and then the events dot description. Can autocomplete is failing me. All right, I'll throw these in divs as well, so it looks slightly better, even though it will still look horrible.
So you notice that, yeah, you receive an object that's already in a case class. So you don't need to parse the API response. It's already parsed for you.
Oh, and now I have a list of these divs, so I can just take that and put that in the div. Okay, let's go do this. Nice. And now I have back a div here. So on my page, I should be able to replace the current front end. I'll just take and use this thing, what did I call it? Caliban view.body. And we should be able to, if this compiles and reloads, I might need to refresh. Oh, cores, no cores.
Oh, cores, yeah, because it's a different port between the client and the server. You need to enable cores in the HTTP.
That's, I think, pretty easy. So we could show that off too.
Yeah.
I think we just really wrap.
Yeah, they have a nice helper for that.
Let's see if that works. I think
maybe uppercase.
Might all be uppercase, yeah. Oh, I think that's it. I think that's all we have.
That was easy.
Wait for the back end to restart. Oh, it seems to be sad. Are you sad? No, it's not sad. It's just recompiling everything. It's starting up the server. It's done. And oh, yes!
Yeah, nice.
We got our list of events.
That's
awesome.
So cool.
Awesome. And yeah, what we I guess so how easy is it to do subscriptions? Can we swap that in?
Okay, yeah, sure. For that, I recommend looking at the example again in the Caliban examples repository. It's going to be faster. Okay. Just copy from there.
Yeah, of course. So let's go to Caliban examples, and which one would this be in?
So it's not actually in here. It's in Laminext module because the examples folder it's a JVM project. So here in test page is good. So first we have to write the subscription. So just like we did before, the only difference is instead of 2 event stream, it's 2 subscription.
Okay.
And we need to pass a WebSocket object.
I think it's the same exact type here. So I will that. So let's do this. I will grab.
So we create a WebSocket. Yeah.
And this comes from Laminex, so that's why.
Yes.
And it looks like maybe, oh, this is not, haha. We can fix, someone can open that pull request. It wasn't using the URI.
No, it's not the same because it's
I see.
It's the WS protocol and WS path.
I see. Okay. And so GraphQL WS, GraphQL build. And then we needed to build a subscription. So it looks like it's going to be Val.
I'll let you do it this time.
All right, let's see what happens. So subscription dot all events stream.
Yeah.
And we can say, oh yeah, and we get to pick anything off of our event, which is.
Yeah, you don't even need to receive everything if you don't want.
Yeah, so maybe I just care about the titles. And then I can say to subscription, I think you said, and pass in this WS thing. And now let's see what type this gets us back. So events subscription. It's a subscription, so it has received, which gets us the event stream. So I'm guessing.
But if you look at the example, there is one more step you need to do, which is
oops. We need to connect to our WS, right?
Yeah, so you need to connect, and then when it's connected, you need to call init.
Okay.
Which is kind of actually init with Caliban server. Init is not. I think it's not necessary, but if you want to follow the protocol, it's better. But Caliban server actually doesn't enforce it.
Okay, and then we can.
And then once it's done, you can use received, and it's giving you an event stream, a laminar event stream.
So event subscriptions dot received, and this will get us an event stream of this either. So I can actually map, or I can do a collect on this in case. Right.
Laminex even has some helper like keep collect write or something like that.
Oh,
if you just, I forgot the syntax, but I know Laminex has some nice helpers.
So here, let's just say like down here, I'll just say like a most recent event or upcoming event or whatever. So now we have this string, so we can just actually pipe this with laminar syntax directly into the DOM. So we'll just keep replacing with the newest events title. So let's see if that does something. Okay. Oh wow, that change is so ugly. Let me add a horizontal rule, which will be uglier, but also comprehensible. Yeah, this should now show up on 2 lines in a sec. There we go. So the most recent event is apparently Zymposium New Zealand, at least according to how this is architected right now. So if I go to the admin panel, and this is the admin panel. So hey, I can't know, but maybe then in order to really tie it all together, we can have a mutation. So create an event. I'm going to just hack this. So it's going to be mutations. I've never done this before. I don't know. So we need a new event input. That seems like it's pretty obvious. I just make one. Oh, Posium. Cool. I need to come up with better little. My inner lorem ipsum engine is not firing very well today. And then it looks like it takes the actual selection, so we can get the pick off of the event we get back what we care about. And in this case, we don't actually care about anything, but I'll just grab the ID. I don't know if there's like an empty selection or if that even makes sense. And then let me see what this gives me. Oh, it's a selection builder. Is it still a selection builder?
Yeah, you need to do 2 event stream.
Oh, 2 event stream. Okay, awesome. And that will only, okay, and then, I need to give it that same URI. And that's why indeed up there is that URI, which seems to be the same as this one. So I will just say URI and URI. And then I will basically make a button saying, I'll do that beneath here inside of another, oh yes. And then inside of this, I'll say on click. Oops. That's actually interesting. I forget the best way to trigger, maybe there's an example there, to trigger is there an example of a mutation here?
Yeah, there is. I usually, this event, it's a helper in Laminex, I think. It's a little weird because basically you have to do the mutation on the left side of the binding.
Yes, because you're flat mapping it's a little odd.
Right.
It is a little weird. The other way to do it would be to like do for each or something. Yeah, that's a little strange, but we'll do it the chosen way. That might be some good feedback for Laminar of a better way of sort of running another event stream on the
This
left.
way I found in basically in the Laminext. So Laminext has some helper for fetch, and that's the way they do it. So just because fetch returns event streams as well.
So this event, this events. Oh, that is a Laminext.
Yeah, that's Laminext.
So now I can flat map. I think they added something just like this to Laminar as well proper. And now I can do, well, ignore the actual event and give it another event stream, which is going to be the create event stream. And then, yeah, and then here on the other side, I would get the actual like, created event, I think, or the option of created event, the either Caliban error, which I can just print line out, created event result. And now we can see what happens.
Wow.
Yay!
Nice.
So it showed up there, and we got the ding still in Altair. So that is pretty insane.
Yeah, they did the whole thing in less than 90 minutes.
Yeah, the client was really fast.
Yeah.
And you
really
don't
cool.
even need to know how GraphQL works. Like, and what I like the most is everything is discoverable. Like you just type query dot, and then you see what's there, and then you let yourself be guided by whatever types it's asking you.
And these patterns are very common if you've ever used like a parser, like fast parse or something like that, or a doobie, right? The tilde composition and mapping syntax is very common. And I think you said there's even a map n that you could do that you then.
That must have been fun to write.
Yeah, always fun.
Potentially even just do like whatever dot underscore dot tuple or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can basically just do mappen and and remove everything else.
That's awesome. Well, that's super cool.
Really cool.
We did it.
I know, like I feel like it's a little bit anticlimactic because like a lot of people are like, all right, we're halfway through. Next time we'll finish the thing. But this is like, we kind of did all the stuff.
Yeah, that was amazing. Obviously, it would be nice to dovetail this into, one of the really powerful things that's GraphQL offers. That's something that's very unique to GraphQL is this ability to then nest deeply into events. So if our event type, if we explored this here, if event here, say it could have subqueries on it, it could have other objects, which could have other ZOs in them in the language.
ZOs or Z queries, yeah, and that could be interesting because you've kind of been exploring that like idea of kind of the CRUD app, and like, I mean, you've kind of I think been going one way, but this could be like another way maybe to hit some of the same ideas.
Yeah.
How much time do we have left? Because if there is enough, we could try one, and if we do it on a list, we could even go as far as using zQuery to optimize the. I don't know if we have enough time.
I think we might not have enough time today, just because we try to keep it 90 minutes seems to be the magic.
Okay, right.
But maybe that means we need to do another session.
Yeah, exactly. But we can come back again, and I think this is like a good little mini tutorial demo example.
Sure.
Yeah,
maybe next time we can do a mix of Caliban and zQuery to show that it's really powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, Pierre. It's amazing to meet you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you for getting up early. And it's just really impressive. I mean, I remember when you first kind of sent me the demo of the very early version of this. I was really excited to see how far it's come. And I mean, I know you've been the driving force behind it, but I think by now there's kind of its own community of people who are contributing and pushing on different things. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, it's really fun watching those Zymposiums, so I'm very happy to be a part of one.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you.
Your documentation is such a good example. We need to steal your theme here. It's very lovely.
Yeah, that might be a good. Yeah, I think we're getting better at having building out the content for all the different ZO projects, but I don't know if our template is as beautiful as your template. So.
Yeah, I tried to find something that no one else was using to make it a little more special.
Yeah. Well, you got your nice little logo and everything. Yeah.
That's helpful. Well, thanks again, Pierre. And is there anything else you'd like to, I don't know, what do normal people do on shows? And are you going to star in any movies or any, what do you want to plug something? Do you have a brand of whiskey?
No, not really. I mean, just try Caliban out, and the Discord chat room is quite active if you have any question. By the way, were there any question? I didn't check.
No. I think either it's been too easy or you've been doing too good a job of explaining it. We basically have like someone who was saying they hadn't done subscriptions yet and it was so easy, and then someone saying it was great, and someone saying no, they're going to do a whole thing on modern FP full stack development. So no, it's people just seem to enjoy hearing from you. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Pierre, and thanks, Adam. And we'll be back next Friday, probably at our usual time.
Yeah.
Pierre comes back, and then at this time. But we'll post something on the internet. And yeah, thanks again.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.